on Jamie Star New World News Network. Check out the links below for all my other endeavors, my music, video game streaming, and stuff like that. On this episode, I'm going to cover this article about the trans-masculine teacher who got $60K payout and due to co-workers not using preferred gender pronouns. And this is so ridiculous. If I knew someone like this, I would just call them it. Like, I would just make up something, or I would call them by their name, but this is ridiculous. And, you know, I can tell you what's going to happen, because you really don't need to know the details of the story to get it. There is a teacher. The teacher decided they're specifically trans-masculine and genderqueer. They came out after they, because there's fucking multiple people living in their heads, so you have to refer to them as a multiple. They, you know, them, their fucking other crazy half, and the fucking other one in there too. And it really, you know, when you start looking at a singular person and having to call them they, that's where you really can see it's a mental disorder, because it's basically like you're respecting their schizophrenia or their multiple personality disorder. So, Sol allegedly requested everyone at school refer to they as such, but the principal refused. We'll be putting they and associated terms in quotes to avoid confusion in the story. If they was asked by students about their gender, district leaders told Sol to respond, "We all have private lives, and it would not be appropriate to talk about our private lives during the school day." I agree with this. I had teachers that were lesbians and such, and I never knew they were lesbians until far after school, when we had a strictly personal friendship, sort of, you know, mentor to student relationship. But when the actual classroom was going on and I was being graded by them and stuff, I knew nothing of their personal life because it was irrelevant to what was supposed to be going on there, which was learning and teaching. And this is like where we can see, this is where it goes into social engineering, where it's like, we need to teach you about different people's life choices and how you should feel about those life choices. The administration claims it was worried about age appropriateness. No, how about academic appropriateness? Sol alleges that their co-workers kept calling them she, lady, or Miss Sol. Other complaints included yelled insults and a conspiracy to prevent them from using the gender-neutral bathroom. Nevertheless, the district investigation turned up no proof of harassment. So, you know, the whole thing, oh, well, people were using my bathroom so I couldn't get into it, and then they dismissed the thing, so then she hired an attorney. Let's see. So people can basically force us on a painful, massive legal liability to say what they want us to say, or whether or not we want to endorse the political message associated with that term, or whether or not we think it's a lie. We have to call people him and her, even if we believe their genders are determined by their biological sex and not their self-perceptions. Perceptions that, by the way, can rapidly change for those who are gender fluid. And using terms tied to self-perception is basically a lie. Bam. What if some people insist that their title is Milord or Your Holiness? They may look like non-gender related terms, but who's to say? That's completely valid. I mean, I think what would be great is, I think, you know, someone should fill out for a job, and when they ask your gender or whatever, you should put that you are a male feline. You should put that you're like a cat or something, and then when they refuse to hire you because they'll say, oh, well, you know, we don't have a litter box, we don't think a cat can operate a cash register, you should sue them for discrimination, because that's again where it will look really crazy. Oh, I want to apply for your job. What I am, trans-species dragon man iguana face. And they'll be like, oh, well, we've never had a trans-species dragon man iguana face work at our place before. Do you know how to make a sandwich? Can you operate a grill? Yeah, I just eat flies when they go by my face, and they'd be like, oh, you're a fucking weirdo, we're not gonna hire you. Discrimination, now. Like, I mean, this shit gets so fucking crazy if you ever take it to the next logical step. So, they go on, they get a fucking lawyer, and they, of course, sue the school district and get $60,000. And I can tell you what's going to happen now. The same thing that's happened to black people, which is you want all these extra rights and everything like that, and you want to make a big fuss in the workplace to the point where you become a liability. If, they've always bring up the stats, people with black names are least likely to get hired for a job because, your name might be Steven and their name might be Trayvon, and we know it's racism. And it's like, no, it's actually because if they were to hire both Steven and Trayvon, and both of them are shitty workers, and they fire both of them, only Trayvon would be able to sue the job with claims of discrimination and would be able to get a large payout for such lawsuit. So they are a liability to the business to even take that chance to see if they're a good worker or not, because if they're not, they might put you out of business. So that's what's going to go on with trans people now. Trans people will be looked at as liabilities. They will say, oh, well, we can't hire trans people because they might sue the shit out of us if we just call them the wrong pronoun. Even if it's an honest mistake, they're going to get all in their fucking crazed emotions and try to put us out of business. So they won't get hired. Then, of course, what comes next? Oh, affirmative action. So we're going to have it where every business must go out of their way to try to hire trans people. Well, there's another issue there, because trans people are such a small minority, there will not be enough of them to go around. Well, now we have a supply and demand issue because we've created a government quota and there aren't enough trans people. So then what are you going to have? You're going to have people who are going to say they identify just as trans to get jobs, and it will completely delegitimize the actual trans people. This is the same thing they say about the bathroom thing. You want this bathroom thing, but the unintended consequences are you're going to have weirdos who just claim they are trying to reap the benefits that you are trying to put in place throughout society. It's what's going to go on. Trans people will be a liability, then affirmative action. There won't be enough of them to go around, and then people will claim they're trans when they aren't. There's my prediction right there. You can take that one to the bank because, like the fucking video of the douchebag talking about the end of white people and how history repeats, that is how history repeats, and it's happening very quickly and back to back to back, and none of these social justice warriors pushing for this shit are bright enough to actually understand the reasoning behind it, so they just keep pushing for the same failed plans for each little group. So, hope everyone enjoyed. Fucking trans teacher sues and has created a liability issue for all other trans people. You can thank that weirdo right there.